mission. So I'm outside today in a new place, and this is because I moved out of my other home just a few days ago, and I'm temporarily here, and we'll go somewhere else, and then hopefully we'll get our house in a few months. Hello friends, and welcome to this weekly wisdom transmission. So I'm outside today in a new place, and this is because I moved out of my other home just a few days ago, and I'm temporarily here, and we'll go somewhere else, and then hopefully we'll get our house in a few months. But for now, we're just here moving with the energies, and that is what I want to talk about today, because for me this has been a journey of releasing the attachment to things being in a certain way, and this was a journey I started many years ago. So therefore right now I feel incredibly comfortable in the uncertainty and in the flow and following the energy, following the divine energies. I want to apologize beforehand if there's too much wind in the microphone. I just did a test at it and it seemed that it was okay, so we hope so, fingers crossed, that you can actually hear me out here in the nature. So yes, as I said, it has been a journey for me. I remember before my awakening, I would very much structure my life and with my mind have this idea about how certain things should be, and being attached to a certain outcome, a certain structure, a certain way of seeing success. And there were a lot of ideas about how life should be at that time, and my body was really reacting to it. It was really very tense, and health-wise I was not doing very good before my awakening. That happened 11 years ago. After my awakening, it was a gradual opening to understanding intuition and how we can move with it, and how we can flow with the energies, and what it means to follow the energy and always be divinely inspired. I hear some say that you can also use your logical mind when planning, and I agree that you can, but you're using it very differently than when you're using the energy of creation, following the flow, knowing that the flow is connected to divine intelligence. Therefore you don't need to know all the unknowns. You just need to know that you can follow your intuition, and you can keep staying connected to it, and you can listen to it, and feeling free in that energy. Before I started as a healer many years ago, I was in science and in other settings where there were a lot of people who were living these very structured life, and I remember they were not feeling very free. They, just as me, they felt like they had to keep up with a certain work schedule, and there were things that they had to do, and things became very, very serious and very much about planning, and all these things you had to get in place in order to be safe. The structure became your safety. You need to have this in order to feel safe. And therefore also times of change would be very unsettling, because you don't have the old system that you can hold on to where you feel safe. You might not have temporarily be out of a home, or your finances changes, or your partnership changes, and then that would create a lot of uncertainty, but also this continuous feeling of being a bit of a victim, of being a bit held hostage within the already defined structure that there was in the everyday life of work, meetings, all these things like kindergarten, schools, all these things that feel like, oh, they have more power than I do to create my own life. But what I realized during my journey is that the divine has a plan for you too, and you can choose that instead. You can choose to let that old idea of structure go and surrender into the unknown. But there's a very different way that these things work. And often we have to go through a phase of letting go of the fear of the unknown, of uncertainty, of being in the open space of divine creation. And it can take time, because we have used a long time to train ourselves into what creates safety in our world, the structures that create safety. And your mind can keep looping around certain things where it tells you you have to get this in place, you have to know where you are next month. And yes, I can also share one example of that with my partner. Was we are like moving from place to place, and right now we are staying in his community where we actually first met 2 years ago, and we will be going somewhere else next month. And my intuition was like this is going to be very, very easy to get our next place. He was more like, oh, but I would like to get it in place now. And he wrote out this message, and we just got flooded with amazing offers about where to have our next step taking us. So it was like, yeah, you were right. Your intuition was so true about this. We have so many places at hand that we can go to. And I will say that's the power of the intuition. We could also have waited longer. That would be what I would normally do. But now we're two, so we're more like working this together of the uncertainty, and we might find new ways when we are co-creating together. The thing about like you will always have your next step assured. You just need to be tapped in with your intuition. And I'm sharing this also knowing there's a great number of people who are called to living this way, and already many in my goddess community are living this way. And I remember for some of them the first time they had this move, like moving out of their place, coming closer to the date, and in the beginning they would feel like, oh, I need to know 3 months in advance where I'm going after. And some of them are like in such a different place now, just like, yeah, I'm moving next week, I don't know where, but I know I'm called to somewhere. And then the week comes and they know where they're going, and it's an adventure. So I'm also sharing this in case you feel called to, if you feel trapped in your reality, maybe you feel like everything is very dense and heavy and calling you to always hold the structure and the safety in a certain way, then this might be the time for you to release some of that grip. And you don't have to do it like me. I'm a bit of an extreme explorer. I was created for this purpose, moving through the perceived obstacles into the expansion, the continuous expansion. So some will do it more slowly, like gradually train themselves to be in the unknown, gradually training themselves to gradually take the steps towards greater freedom. Because as I see it, it's the freedom that we really want. It's not that people don't want to work or I don't want to work. We want to work. We want to do our service, but we want to do it in our way, the way we were created for. And it's not lazy. It's actually quite energy efficient, but it's not putting your energy into all these things that doesn't make sense for you anymore. And it's not creating those things that does not align with your energy anymore. It's very, very different. And if you want to receive more guidance on this on a personal level, feel free to reach out. I have open spots for one-on-one sessions, and I also have a few open spots in my Rise Goddess program starting soon. This is a one-on-one mentorship and healing program where you really get the training, you get the deep healing and coming back to your feminine essence and nature if you're a woman. And also you really get the practical guidance of how to return to this place within yourself where you know what your next step is, where you know how to make your steps forward and how to make decision from this place of the deep inner knowing instead of trying to guessing with your mind, or you might be looping within the same theme. So like finding yourself spiraling around something or trying to make the right decision. There you get a guidance to come back, feel yourself, and know your next step. The thing is, if you're following the energy, if you're following your intuition, everything is taking into account except the old. There's nothing about holding you in the old. So all the structures that we have been used to, this is safe, and I always say that. When you're following your intuition and following the energy, it is the most energy efficient way to move through your life in the highest possible way. It will not keep you in a place where your mind thinks you have to be. It will help you navigate with your heart, bring you forward into your highest path. So it's a deeply fulfilling and rewarding way to work through this. But also, as I said, it requires training. So for me, I had several years ago, I'm going to go into my own story about this. when I had my awakening, I was suddenly back with my intuition. That was wildly crazy and so amazing, because I had so many years where I had been detached from it. I learned that other people's opinions or perspective are right, and I should like adjust myself to that, even though I might have felt something else in the beginning. So I could not feel my intuition anymore. It was so cluttered and beneath all these hidden under all these emotions, the stagnant energy, so I couldn't feel it. And coming back through this abrupt, spontaneous, magical awakening, I just suddenly felt it all again, and it felt so good and so safe to be able to move from this place within me. But as you might know, there's always new levels, and we always become more. So moving through this, I also started to see that there was ways that I was moving through life, and there was things that I was here to integrate this worthiness of being a divine goddess, to be in the feminine, because we live in a society where we have for eons, or not for eons, but for a long time, and in cycles where we have, for centuries, yes, where we have moved in and out of these feelings of allowing that feminine, wise nature within ourselves, and the masculine has been showing up in the wounded form as well. So coming back and starting allowing that to be my main navigational mechanism within me was a journey. And also I had to learn how it works and how it informs me, and starting to see that I could actually trust it was not something that came from my mind. It came through the actual experience. And I think we can really mistake that sometimes, because we hear about this is how it is, and then we come into the situation and then we get all scared, and it's like, yes, but it's in the experience you realize that you can trust the divine. It's not something coming before. Like, you will always face this part of the journey where you are asked to really lean in and trust what you felt in the first place, because often it would be like, oh, this feels right, I'm gonna do this, and then it's like when you're walking in the direction you start to feel fear come up. That is not a sign that you're walking in the wrong direction. It's just a sign that here are the things that you've been holding yourself back with from your own freedom. These are the things you've been telling yourself over and over, so you did not move in the direction that your heart wanted. So for me, there was a pivotal moment, I think, when was that? Maybe 7 years ago, where I was really asked to lean in and really asked to move out of the effort mindset. I came from that from before, so maybe it's more than 7 years ago. I've lost a bit sense of time, I must admit. I don't know time anymore in the same way, so I'm like, oh yeah, whatever. It's a while ago. And then I was asked to lean in and trust. And yes, there were times that I was so fearful, because I did not know what will be around the next corner, where will it be guided to, but I was just told to trust. And I knew within myself, I've created this, so I'm here to witness it. And I'm eternally grateful for these times in my life where I allowed myself to trust, and I know that from the women in my community too. There are times of contraction, but if we allow ourselves to go through them in whatever way we are guided to, it always differs. We are here to ground and integrate different things, and release and transform different things, and start living the life we dream of, but from different places. And we dream of different lives, so they also gonna look different. But there has been times for them too where they felt like, oh, whoa, this is intense, but let's see what's coming up after this. There's always more love when we allow ourselves to go through these contractions, and our job is to maintain the love for ourselves. Also, you will find the reward in this, the unexpected reward in this, is that you suddenly start to have so much more compassion for other people, and you start seeing that sometimes they are not able to actually create the thing that's correct from the human standards, but they're always creating what is in divine alignment. And that might be so much more of a contribution to human consciousness, what they're bit of water, what they're allowing themselves to go through, that if they had chosen the safe route. So I'm sharing this because this is a deeply transformational time with a lot of change coming up for many. And the more you can release the grip, trust that you're divinely guided, trust that there is a path forward, trust that the divine got you. Your guide team is all around you all the time, and they can assist you in whatever way you need to. But you're in a landscape. Your emotions are yours. And this is where your main focus should be if you are to move through all these things, because that is where you can create the new. That is from this place within you, you maintain love for yourself, that you keep that channel of love open. And yes, it is challenging in the beginning, I admit. When we are going through dark moments, it is challenging to hold that perspective of love for ourselves, but it will become easier, I promise you. And then things does not even feel dark anymore. They don't feel dense. They don't feel difficult. As I said, this is just a great adventure. This time moving, it's just so fun and such a great adventure and experience that I'm just looking forward to every day, waking up and experience what's new, what's next. This is awesome. So just wanted to put that out there, and feel free to comment, subscribe, like, whatever you want to do below this video. And feel free to reach out if you want to try out our Goddess membership community, or if you want to book one-on-ones with me. So I'm sending you so much love and wishing you a beautiful day. Bye.